The ecosystem effect, how Black women entrepreneurs are transforming business beyond recognition. Welcome to the Soft Girl Era podcast, where we explore the journey from constantly grinding to finally grounding in joy, peace, softness, and self prioritization. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce. And today, I have the extraordinary privilege of sharing insights from my recent interview with Toni Racell, a visionary whose work is fundamentally reshaping how we understand entrepreneurship among Black women. Toni Racell isn't just documenting the rise of Black women in business, she's actively creating the blueprint for a revolution. Through her groundbreaking research spanning 5 continents and community building initiatives that have touched over 10,000 entrepreneurs, she's illuminating pathways that transform individual success stories into systemic change. Her impact extends far beyond statistics and studies. She's helping to build an entirely new ecosystem where Black women entrepreneurs don't just survive but thrive and lift others as they climb. In a world obsessed with individual achievement, Toni is showing us the profound power of collective advancement. Let me start with something that stopped me in my tracks during our conversation, something that challenges everything we think we know about entrepreneurship in America today. We often celebrate individual success stories: the woman who built a 7-figure business from her kitchen table, the founder who secured major venture funding against all odds. These stories inspire us, as they should, but they only tell part of the story. They perpetuate the myth that success is a solitary journey, that the entrepreneur who makes it does so through sheer individual will. What Toni's research reveals is far more revolutionary. Black women now represent 39% of the total female population, but account for a staggering 89% of net new women owned firms being created daily. Let that sink in for a moment. Nearly 9 out of 10 new women owned businesses are being created by Black women. This isn't just impressive, it's transformative. It's not just about numbers, it's about a fundamental shift in how business creation happens in America. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. The power isn't just in these individual businesses, it's in what Toni calls the ecosystem effect, how Black women entrepreneurs are actively transforming entire business landscapes through mentorship, creating access to capital, and building community support systems that will empower generations to come. The narrative is shifting from individual resilience to systemic change, where wins create ripple effects for others. This isn't just about personal achievement, it's about collective advancement. As one entrepreneur told Toni, I'm not interested in being the only one at the table. I want to build a bigger table. This perspective fundamentally challenges how we think about success. In a culture that glorifies the self made myth, Black women entrepreneurs are demonstrating that true power comes from connection, not isolation. From lifting as we climb, not climbing alone. But let's be clear, this revolution is happening despite persistent barriers, not in the absence of them. Despite Black women owned businesses seeing a 32.7% rise in revenues, loan approval rates for Black business owners still lag dramatically behind national averages. As of 2025, only 6.5% of Black business owners receive loan approvals, compared to significantly higher rates for others. These aren't just numbers. They represent dreams deferred, potential unrealized is, and innovations we'll never see. They represent systemic inequities that continue to shape who gets to participate in our economy and on what terms. During our conversation, Toni shared powerful stories that illustrate both the challenges and the transformative solutions emerging from this community. The first took place at the 2025 Tribune Conference in New Orleans, a city that itself symbolizes reinvention. Black women business owners gathered not just to network, but to strategize on overcoming structural challenges that have persisted for generations. Um, Imagine walking into a room where hundreds of women who look like you are not competing, but collaborating, where the energy isn't about who has the biggest success story, but about how to ensure everyone succeeds. They faced familiar obstacles, limited access to capital, systemic bias in lending, and chronic underrepresentation. But rather than accepting these as immutable facts, they responded with collective action. They formed peer mentorship groups. They advocated for policy changes. They leveraged conference platforms for visibility. And the results were remarkable. Attendees reported average revenue increases of over 30%, with expanded access to market opportunities through partnerships formed at the event. What struck me most about this story was the backstory. Many of these women began as sole proprietors, facing repeated loan denials. But instead of giving up, they pooled resources locally before scaling up. They launched collaborative ventures after the conference and even influenced local chambers' procurement policies. This is what transformation looks like: a shift from isolated growth toward building sustainable entrepreneurial ecosystems that benefit wider communities. The second story Toni shared focused on overcoming financial barriers. A Brookings Institution analysis revealed the stark reality of lending disparities facing Black business owners nationwide. With only a 6.5% loan approval rate, many entrepreneurs face discouragement stemming from low credit scores tied to generational wealth gaps. But here again, we see innovation rising to meet challenge. Grassroots education campaigns about alternative financing options, from crowdfunding to community development financial institutions, are changing the landscape. Peer led workshops demystifying credit improvement strategies are empowering entrepreneurs who previously felt locked out of the system. Many featured entrepreneurs had previously avoided applying for funding due to fear or past rejections, but they found renewed confidence through targeted support networks established by local organizations during post pandemic recovery efforts. The impact: the creation of microloan collectives tailored specifically for minority founders' needs, and a measurable uptick in successful crowdfunding campaigns within these circles during the late 2024 to early 2025 period. This broadened understanding and use of innovative financing tools has begun narrowing opportunity gaps between majority and minority owned firms. As one entrepreneur told Toni, "We're not waiting for permission anymore. We're creating our own financial systems." The third revelation from Toni's research unveiled what she calls the startup surge, record breaking entrepreneurial activity among U.S. women, with particular acceleration driven by founders of color since COVID era disruptions began subsiding. These entrepreneurs faced unique challenges, navigating economic uncertainty while balancing family responsibilities disproportionately shouldered during pandemic years, and confronting lackluster representation at leadership levels despite outsized entrepreneurial contributions. Their response: participation in accelerator programs designed specifically for underrepresented founders and intentional networking via digital platforms connecting investors with diverse startups nationwide. The results have been nothing short of revolutionary. Women's startup activity rose sharply from an average rate below men's pre pandemic to outpace male counterparts significantly between late 2019 and mid 2024. Many founders highlighted in this research pivoted careers after layoffs or corporate burnout, leveraging lived experience into mission driven brands serving unmet community needs. They secured seed funding rounds through diversity focused venture competitions and gained placement on industry ones to watch lists, amplifying visibility beyond niche audiences. What these entrepreneurs demonstrated is that inclusive entrepreneurship isn't just good PR. It delivers innovation gains across industries while challenging outdated norms about who gets funded or leads companies. As I reflect on these insights from my conversation with Toni Racell, I'm struck by how perfectly they align with our soft girl era philosophy. These entrepreneurs are redefining strength on their own terms. They're setting boundaries without apology. They're turning survival into something sacred and supportive for others. They're showing us that dropping the superwoman cape doesn't mean abandoning ambition. It means pursuing it collectively, sustainably, and with joy. Scripture reminds us in Ecclesiastes 4 9, 10. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. This wisdom is being lived out in real time through these entrepreneurial communities. The affirmation that rises from these stories is powerful. I am not just building a business, I am building a legacy that will outlast me and benefit many. When we address these barriers at scale by advocating for equitable funding, supporting each other's ventures, and demanding structural change, the potential impact is massive. Reaching parity could mean hundreds of thousands more businesses and millions of jobs created across America. This is what healing in real time looks like. This is what protecting pieces of practice means in the business context. This is purpose beyond pain. So I leave you with this challenge. What if the future of business isn't the lone wolf entrepreneur, but the wolf pack? What if the most powerful force in our economy isn't competition, but collaboration? What if the greatest innovation isn't a product or service, but a completely new way of creating wealth that benefits many instead of enriching few? The data is clear. The stories are compelling. The movement is growing. Black women entrepreneurs aren't just changing business, they're reinventing it from the ground up. The question isn't whether this transformation will continue. The question is, will you be a part of it? Will you rethink how you measure success? Will you invest in businesses that prioritize community impact alongside profit? Will you mentor someone who doesn't look like you? Will you advocate for policies that create truly equitable access to capital? Because this isn't just about Black women entrepreneurs succeeding, although that matters profoundly. This is about creating an economy that works for everyone, an economy where success is measured not just by individual wealth, but by collective well being. An economy where the ecosystem effect creates ripples of opportunity that touch every community. The revolution in entrepreneurship is happening. The question is, which side of history will you be on? Thank you.